Hi, and welcome to another episode of our podcast where language enthusiasts talk about learning and stuff.
It's three of us here.
I'm Zoya.
I'm Taya.
And I'm Ksusha.
In this chaotic world, we're all in need of safe space to speak one's mind, laugh, and enjoy life.
Because that's the only way to stay sane while
Zooming
through
Chaos.
Hey, and welcome back to Zooming Through Chaos podcast. Today we have a new episode, and this is the third part of the historic game, I would say.
In brackets for us. Record breaking.
Record breaking, exactly, yes.
Yeah.
We have a special request from Zoya for the third episode.
Yes. You have no one to blame but me for doing it again. And I'm okay with it. I rarely ask people for anything. And I just asked you guys, I want it to be a kind of trilogy. I want us to have round 3. And and here we are.
And here
you.
we are, yes. So we have the same game, the same rules. Taya, can you please refresh them?
This is my turn, okay? The game is called This or That. So you get to choose between two things, and of course there are rule breakers like Susha who doesn't choose. Like, oh yeah, and the meaning of the game is to choose between two options. So this or that, like coffee or tea, or I don't know, games or series, something like this. But we make the questions like connected to languages and learning languages, as far as I
At least we try to do that.
We try, yes. Because it's not our first time playing, and it's difficult to have this or that only with languages, or at least language related stuff. But we're doing our best.
We're doing our best, yes.
So
That's
bear with
exactly
us,
my
yeah.
words. Okay, Zoya, it was your request, so can you please start? I will put you in the spotlight.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay. So let's start with at least one of them that is language related. So, teaching or learning.
How can you choose between them?
Elaborate. Just elaborate on your choices. Here or there, because I also made it this thing and was like, huh? So yeah.
Before I start breaking the rules, I have just one question. When I'm teaching somebody, I'm also learning something.
So again, I know that the rules of the game is to choose, but maybe okay, but you can choose like, well, I like this more. I do more of this. So
Daya, help me out.
doesn't help. So it doesn't help. But, I do both.
okay, I can explain my point of view here.
Okay, let's go.
I also cannot choose, especially as I'm a teacher myself, and I also like learning. And when you stop learning, you're dead. Paraphrasing our famous phrase from one of the episodes with our psychologist or therapist. But I'd say, because I don't think I'm gonna be a teacher my whole life, at least in traditional sense. I'd say I choose learning, because you can always switch into teaching. Like, while learning something, you can teach something. Yes, and I agree with Ksusha. It's like always a kind of two-way street situation, that you learn something, you teach this, or while teaching, you're also learning something about yourself, especially. So, but I stick with learning here.
That helped. No.
If we're talking about the same sense, yes, like I'm also not sure that I will be teaching my whole life, or maybe it will just no, maybe it will just kind of change the how to put that the format of that, so it
Mm-hmm.
will not be teaching. I would go then for teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's
And I
great.
would choose learning then.
Mm-hmm.
Because, the minute Zoya explained your point of view on that and your choice, I immediately thought, uh, what makes me, uh,
A good
I don't
teacher?
know, yeah, no,
No.
what makes
No,
teaching.
not a very well
No,
teacher.
no, just stop it.
I mean, what makes teaching
Mm-hmm.
thrilling and exciting for me?
Mm-hmm.
It's learning something new in order to teach it others. So, in order to like reflect this on my students, in order to spread information that I learned.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
learning is like the major part of teaching for me.
Sure. And learning comes
Yes,
first also.
I
Hmm.
agree with you, but I can justify a bit my.
Oh, you don't have to. Like,
No,
you
no,
don't
no.
have to.
I
We're not
want.
trying to get you on our side or something. There are no
There's
sides,
no
first of all.
judgment here,
Yes, no
yes.
judgment.
No, no, no. I just want to give a different look at this on the same topic.
Mm-hmm.
Everything we learned, or at least for me, everything I learned is cool and good for me for finding that out. But unless I share it with someone else, it can kind of die with me. So for me, the main idea is to transfer that knowledge to somebody else. It may be any means. It can be, I don't know, books, it can be lessons, it can be talks, anything.
Mm-hmm.
But the main idea for me is to spread the word, spread the knowledge more. So that's why for me that would be teaching.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be in the conventional way, not the traditional one, but still, it is spreading the word.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it is. The world's history is all about like teaching, transferring the culture you have and all these things you've learned in the past to the next generation. Like, I don't know. I guess it's fair enough of you to think that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Okay. So my turn. Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
I don't know. Okay, we will start with the easy one. There are two types of courses on teaching the language. A die-hard course when you need to, or the crash course when you need to learn that in a very short time, but you kind of dedicate all your time to that. It's like learn something in a month. I don't know, not
Mm-hmm.
the language, but at least some, I don't know, some aspect. Or
English in 90 days.
yes, yes,
Very
or
generous of you. Usually it's in 30 days.
yes, or slow and steady course. So you are just going with the baby steps and the slow growth and all this. So die hard course or slow and steady course.
I would go for the other one, not intensive, not intensive course,
Slow
like
and steady.
extensive. Yeah, slow and steady. Yeah, okay. I would go with this one because kind of I had the experience of both, studying both things, and of course it makes more sense to go for an intensive course if you are kind of limited in time because you want to move to another country. That's why you're learning as fast as you can this language. So it makes sense for those people. But as far as I am not this kind of person now, and I tend to like accept the culture, to like learn something new, not in order to move to another country. I would prefer like extensive courses, normal, slow and steady, with my own path, tempo, my own tempo, not really fast, very slow, very relaxed. So I like being relaxed while learning something new.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
So that's why.
Totally valid option.
What about you, Zoe?
I think we're kind of on the same page here. I've also learned like no, wait. I've taught both options and I've learned in these like ways too. Again, with crash courses and stuff, it's always like you have some kind of agenda and it's like real urgent. You need to learn something for a specific reason and really fast. Or maybe it's some kind of like, usually for exams, actually, there are some things like this. And usually when people prepare for some sort of exams, they have like limited time. But I'd say like I also more of slow and steady learning kind of person. So,
Same
what
here.
about you?
Same
Same.
here. Yeah, I wouldn't say that I have had the experience of really intensive crash courses, like in month or something. But I studied during 2 years to enter the university, and I remember that it was intense. It was 2 years. It was not as intense, but I remember. And looking back for my photos from that time, I see all my friends next to me and me with a dictionary or something, and I understand that. Yeah, it may be necessary in some situations. But in general, especially right now, I am more of a slow and steady person. So baby steps and the art of small steps, it's all my jam.
Good for you.
Okay. Whose turn?
Taya,
Oh,
your turn, yes.
am I next? All right. This one, yeah. Um, like, what would you choose? Communicating. If you want to like perfect your language, you're like fluent enough for your level, and so you want to like make it make your level like a bit better. So would you rather communicate to a native speaker on or a non-native speaker but very proficient in the language, but who has, for example, teaching experience or
So
something?
it's like peer studying or not even peer studying, sorry. No, sorry. No, it's
Studying
not
with
it.
a native speaker or a
But it's like
non-native
studying or
speaker.
just communicating like chatting.
I guess it's both. No, let's go for communicating.
Okay, just chatting then.
It
It's a
doesn't
lot about
matter to
studying,
me.
but
It doesn't matter to me.
so if you get to choose, so just you have, I don't know, 20 minutes a day for this kind of stuff, and you have to choose between two options, and you
You
don't
you
get
are
both of
you are
them.
gonna say that I'm breaking the rules again, but it really doesn't matter to me. And I'm more about the exposure to different whatever it is, accents or people and their ways of saying. So I really can't choose here.
That's a
Um,
difficult one, right?
yeah. Because like realistically, I have non-native speakers who I speak to on a regular basis, and I mostly like listen to or watch native speakers. So it's not a dialogue. So I'd say non-native speakers, and also I'm starting to notice that, especially English teachers who are Russians or Russian speaking at least, they tend to have such a hell of a vocabulary in the most possible, not in the most possible, sorry, in the best possible way, that you can learn from them so much. And they're also motivated to, to learn and to teach you maybe something. So say no to no native speakers. No offense, native speakers. It's just a bit more difficult to communicate with you nowadays. That's it. So yeah.
I also have the question to the native speaker: is this the average native speaker? Because all of that talks about speak like a native speaker and stuff. You need to understand that the native speaker is also a human being, human, only human after all, that can make mistakes, that cannot know something, and in this case, like the average, I'm, as a Russian native speaker, I think make much more mistakes than I make in English. So
But it's
yes.
not about like that they make mistakes. It's just about that. Um, like I also think that as a Russian native speaker, I'm not that interesting, to be honest. I don't use the vocabulary that you can find even in some modern books by some modern writers, that they use. It's just more like
Rush
colloquial
cringe.
Russian slang, and yes, and also a lot of actually English words. And so I don't think I'm that interesting to be, to talk to me in Russian, but in English, I make more of an effort and I try to use the words that I learn sometimes. So yeah, I know. Like no offense to anybody, but yeah,
What would you choose to?
So interesting, but I would choose to communicate to a native speaker. Just,
traitor.
I'm sorry, it's
Oh,
me
it's
now.
just a joke. It's a joke.
No, no, that's okay. I mean, maybe it's like my state of my mind nowadays, because I really miss this communication to foreign people and people from other countries. But I would like to have some to learn something new from them, at least like by communicating, by chatting, to know all these new things. Like you, you normally don't really get as much information about how people communicate in the streets somewhere in the country you this language you learn of. I don't know. So I really miss the communicating with Germans, with different kinds of native speakers of English. And of course, I started to, it's an interesting story. I started to communicate to Japanese people on a like platform where you can connect, communicate and learn languages um, with a native speaker. But I didn't get to like talk to Japanese people much,
Why
though
not?
I don't know, they don't really.
Want?
And then, yes, they are not as close as Russian friends are, so they when they make friends they are not as close as we
I think they're more reserved. That's what
are.
you're
Yes,
trying to
that's
say.
that's the cultural
Maybe.
thing. You remember you were talking about that they have, even if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, that they even have the different pronouns like we, the close circle, like the family, and
Yeah.
we or they. So
Hmm.
some of division between these two.
Way to
Yes.
exclude people. Great.
So they tend to exclude many people from their lives, like
But you're still trying to knock on that closed door. It's like, come on, guys, I want to talk to you. Yeah, I guess they have like these close knit communities,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
right? That they stick to people they know.
Yes.
Yeah, and also the importance of family and being close with the family is
Hmm.
very different, I guess.
You know
Mm-hmm.
what? Japanese are not the only ones. I've heard the same things about Scandinavian people. That like everybody's like, oh yes, like this and or that country is really good for like, relocating and stuff. And they're like, but then try to make friends with the locals. They're nice, but they're not gonna be your friends because they also have this like kind of like we're like okay, thank you, we don't need any more friends or something. So yeah, friendly, nice, but not really looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, and again, maybe you just I'm trying to justify somebody's choice, I guess. Maybe you're just in this place in your life when you don't need any other friends. Happens.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when somebody rejects you, it's not you. It's them.
It's not personal. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
It's
not
a
personal for
personal.
sure. Yeah. Coming back to your point about talking to German people, I still stand by my choice, not choosing any of the parts. But as I had the point for the Zoe's choice, now I think of the point for your choice. If we're talking about some cultural aspects, I guess yes, they are better to learn from the natives. And listening to you, I understood that I'm quite well versed in English speaking culture, pop culture, or any general overview of that. But I would really love to learn more about the customs of Spain or Latin America. I have zero knowledge about that. And in this case, talking to natives would be much more beneficial than talking to um, my fellow Russian speaking learners. So both of them have their benefits.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to add to your point actually that I agree that learning some cultural differences or just cultural things is better from like native speakers because they live there, they know whatever, whatnot. But to be honest, it's again, it depends on the person you're talking to. Because when I was still working at a language school, we had native speakers there, English native speakers, and they were so different. Like if your interests are not the same, you're not gonna be like, oh, you know what? Tell me about the Beatles era in the UK in the 60s or something like. Okay, I mean they are not that old, but still like So they have different interests, and what I find useful is like finding out all these cultural things is like YouTube. Because there you can just type like, oh, I want to learn more about like this time in history, for example. It doesn't have to be historical or something, but still you find it, and it's better because it's more on point with your what I know agenda, for example. Because just like you cannot come up like if somebody even in Russia somebody comes up to me, a foreigner, like asking me about like and what's happening there and what happened then, and I'm like, I need to
Uh,
Google it. Sorry, just a second. Because, or if it's aligned with my, interest, yes, sure. I'm gonna tell you, like, yeah.
yes, yes, yes. And ultimately, we all need people and the same connections and the same interests to
Hmm.
share. So it's universal, like for sure.
Okay.
Yes, so that would be it for today then. Thank you very much for watching,
Thank
for
you.
listening. See you next time, and don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell, share with others, all that jam. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Have
Thank
a nice
you.
day.
Bye bye
Bye.
bye bye.
Bye.